All right, good morning and happy Tuesday to you out there. Time once again for catching up with Tommy Mack here on 1010XL's podcast platform, 1010XL.com, the 1010XL app, of course, live on Facebook, recorded in the 1010XL studios, podcast studios here at the HQ, and then delivered all over social media and all other platforms, YouTube, Spotify, you name it. Wherever you listen and or watch to your favorite podcasts, you can find Catching Up with Tommy Mack, brought to you by Team Tommy Mack, just a group of businesses, man, that are fantastic, always there for you when you need them. If you don't believe me, go check it out, TommyMack.net, and go to their logos. You'll see I got a nice little display of proud team members of Team Tommy Mack. Click on their logo, take you right to their respective website, and show you what they're all about, and I'll talk about them in just a little bit. Lots to get into, as I was saying on the pre-show just on Facebook, of the movement in the National Football League, the money being thrown around, our own Jaguars making moves. We're going to talk about it all right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. But first, let's say good morning to Grammage. Hi, Grammage. How are you, buddy?
I am thrilled. I am ecstatic. I am overjoyed with the amount of intangibly rich players signed by our Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, I'll tell you what, this regime better not stink, or that's going to become the biggest joke in town, intangibly rich.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Well, listen, I'm going to venture out and say these guys, all 9 of them, fit the culture Liam and company are trying to build.
I agree.
Or you don't bring them in. And I know everyone's like, oh, they're building the bottom of the rock. Look, you're paying some guys some money. They're not going to be backups. They're going to be playing. They're going to be playing a lot. You know, you do have to upgrade your backups. There's no doubt. We talked about that on this show, on the offensive and defensive line. They've done that and helped out the starting offensive line as well. But it's quite incredible what's happened here in Jayville and what's happening around the National Football League. We got TPC week this week.
That's right.
You know, we won't cover it here on Tommy Mack, but I have some great stories from TPC over the years. I mean, phenomenal. They actually could do a documentary on the time that John Daly and I and my 2 teammates, Pete Mitchell and Michael Cheever, had a great time with John Daly on a Thursday after he had a great round. It was a year after we went to the AFC Championship game in 1996. And let's just say when I woke up on Friday morning, John Daly had withdrawn from the tournament and wrecked his hotel room while wearing a 55 Tom McManus Jaguar jersey.
No way.
Yes. Yeah. That was quite the story. I had to haul ass into town. I'll tell you how it ended. And I will tell the story, but not today. But I'll tell you how it ended. I went and hauled ass to the Jaguars stadium because I knew Coughlin would be there, and I wanted to get my story in. He had already heard the story, and he just literally looked at me, and he's like, how in the hell do you get involved in these kinds of things? And all I said to him was, I think I'm just too nice, Coach. He's like, get out of my office. He was pretty upset, but nonetheless, I maintained my position on the team, and John bounced back just fine. No doubt about that. But TPC is a great week. Have fun out there. Some of the greatest golf you'll see, and it's right in our backyard, which is great. And on top of that, they raise a ton of money, the Players Championship Foundation. I mean a ton, like millions and millions of dollars this week. For local charities. So they do a great job. No question about there. Have fun out there. All right, the Jags, looks like they've agreed to terms with 9 free agents in the tampering period, right? There's a 2-day tampering period. They can sign on Wednesday, then they'll have the press conference. All the hype will start, and you'll love all of that. 2 of the guys, I did a little research. I don't know all these guys, and you don't either. It's okay. We're going to find out about them. You know some of them. I mean, everyone knows Nick Mullins. He's been around a long time. You understand why they brought him in. If Grant Udinsky is familiar with the offense of Liam Cohen, it's going to be a nice transition to help support and help Trevor Lawrence get ready to take on the offense. Great move, right? You got to like that move. But 2 of the guys are top 100 in one of the, those top 100 free agents. So that's not bad. 2 out of the 9. The 2 are the Makari, who I like. He is a not an oversized offensive lineman, about 305, 310, but very athletic and very versatile. Has played all three positions. Patrick McCarry. You noticed him with the Ravens last year. He was a good offensive lineman. He started for them, I think, most of the year last year. He's number 81 out of the top 100. Not bad, So I look forward to seeing him. He'll automatically take the guard. I think Hainsley's going to be your center, and that makes sense. He knows Liam's. He knows his system. And I know people are going to go out there, well, he got cut by the rookie. Well, Grant Barton's a really good player. So, and for them to grab Hainsley from Tampa, that just means what? He fits our culture. He knows our scheme. I know him from Tampa. I trust him. We're good to go. We go for, look, and I know not every fan out there, but a lot of fans, especially on X, Twitter, what have you. I mean, you go from, oh, this is great. We're cleaning house. Oh, we got this youth. Oh, we got this stuff. Don't care the first-timers. They're going to be great. They're going to be awesome. And then the list comes out, the 9 free agents, and you're like, what the hell are they doing? They don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Because you want these big names. I get it. You look at like what the Pats did. The Pats made some moves. I mean, they bolstered that defense big time. They add a little bit to the offense. You look at the Bears. Bears took care of what? Their O-line. They did. There's no doubt about it. They took care of some other things too. And that defensive line. Grady Jackson's, guy's been doing it forever, but he still can play. Going to be a nice 2-year player for them or whatever he ends up playing. But you look at we're not done yet. We're not done. You got to look at the whole body of work. And I get why you sit there like, man, why did we get him? You saw where Javon Holland's gone. He's to the Giants. Did you see that happen? I think kind of late night or early morning. Good for him. Of course, we grab a safety, Eric Murray from the Texans. A lot of people are like, who the heck is this guy? I was one of them. I don't know who he is. I had to look him up. I noticed that he played for the Texans. I noticed that he's a little bit, long in the tooth at age 31. But again, I've got to trust that they know what they're doing until they show that they don't. You know what I mean? I can't sit here. And again, let's be honest. Most people, other than the pundits that are doing it constantly, you don't know who these guys are. You know why I know Hunter Long? Because I know him from Boston College. And I remember him being a really tough player and a guy that caught a lot of passes. I mean, he wasn't just a blocker. He can move. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table. And I know what kind of culture he has. I know he does because I saw it. I know what he's like. I know what the Boston College regime is like. So again, I'm gonna go with, I'm trusting them that they're bringing in the right guys that are going to do what? Starters, backups, and overall have the right attitude that we've been looking for. And I think that's a really big key. You could sit there and be like, wow, DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh. Great. You thought that Pickens was going to be unbelievable. What happened to him? A problem child with a quarterback. Neither quarterback was very good. So who you got thrown at DK? It's great that you got him. Awesome. And maybe he'll be great. Does that mean he takes you to the Super Bowl? Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? It doesn't matter that we get the top guy, the top receiver, the top tight end, the top pass, right? We're going to get the right guys that help us win. And it's not always, now granted, don't get me wrong, there are some where like, oh man, like Holland. Would I like Javon Holland to be on our team? I would. I think he's a really up-and-coming safety. They didn't go for him. They didn't, whatever. Maybe they tried. You never know what happens with the contracts and whatnot, what's being offered, what's not, what the deal is. So I don't know those ins and outs. But would I have liked to seen him? Yeah, I would have. I'd like to see another offensive lineman. There are a couple out there. I think Zietler's still out there. The guy one from Cleveland to Detroit.
I don't believe they're done.
No, I don't think they're done either. I don't think they're done. But I don't necessarily need a big splash to make me go, oh, okay, this is a great class. Because again, it's gotta fit the inside of that locker room. Look at what they made. Look at the splashes they made. Look at 2022. Didn't we love 2022? We did. We went over it. Remember, we went over it like last offseason. Went through Trent Baalke's classes. 2022 got an A. Right? They added a lot of talent, a lot of starters. Well, guess what? It's 2025, and I think one's here. You know what I mean?
So
you just never know how it's going to fit, even though on paper whoa, look at it. It looks great. Even the Bears. The Bears added defensive guys. Are they going to gel together? Is Joe Thuney, just because Thuney comes from KC and he's a great player and I love him, does he gel with the rest of the offensive line? Drew Dahlman, is he the kind of center they need in Chicago? I mean, we hear he struggles against pass protection. He's more of a zone blocker. Is that the kind of ball they're going to play? Thuney didn't come from that kind of ball. He's not a zone blocker. He's a gap blocker. You know what I mean? So does that all, my point of bringing that up, looks good on paper. Does that chemistry come together for the Bears? We don't know. Maybe it does. But maybe it doesn't. You never know what can happen until you get them in and figure out where they fit.
Two things. First, there's a few moves I'm kind of questioning still, but overall, I love what they're doing because how many times have we talked about recently, Tommy, how we're over all these guys on this team just having roster spots, right?
Yeah.
These backup
guys. You had to upgrade the backups. You have to upgrade the backups.
These backup guys, these swing guards and these swing tackles and these dudes that have just been on this team for forever. Yep. And again, I don't mean to pick on Cooper Hodges, but I'm just bringing somebody up. Cooper Hodges, we like Cole Van Lannon in this podcast, so I'm not really putting him in this, but Blake Hance and some of these other guys on the offensive line and
Fortner,
absolutely. Yep. And some of these other guys throughout the team. Yep. And you and I have said, and we've agreed on this and been pretty adamant about, like, the back end of this roster has been way too comfortable, man.
Yep.
Because, look, if you're a superstar and you're a guaranteed starter, of course you got a roster spot. And your expectations are different, and you play a different game. When you're on the back half of the roster, man, you should never feel like you have a guaranteed spot. Ever.
I agree.
Ever.
Totally. I never did.
And the last regime allowed a lot of these guys to feel far too safe. But here's the thing. First of all, if you're going to move on from a lot of these guys like they did this past week, and secondly, if you are going to flip the bottom half of that roster out and you're going to fill it out with new guys, you need a large quantity of players to do that.
Yeah.
And you're not going to go get the top 2 or 3 guy at every position to do said thing. It's going to be backup guys. It's going to be depth pieces. It's going to be, and look, if you think that some of these other guys you're bringing bolster and raise the floor of this roster by bolstering up the back half and makes training camp a lot more competitive and and push guys, then more power to them, man.
Yeah.
And I believe too, this is the second part of what I'm thinking here. I think between looking at this free agency class in totality, which is not a great free agent class by most people's...
you wouldn't know by the activity.
Well,
you know
right.
what I mean? It's amazing.
Well, right, but in terms of like the top end talent that's available relative to other years, right?
Yeah.
I believe that James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, Tony, the rest of the crew, I believe that they really like what they're going to be able to do in this year's draft in terms of getting the next high-end talented guy. You just broke your glasses. High-end talented guys.
Might have to bleep that out.
That's not very intangibly rich of you, Tom.
No, that's not at all. That's what I get for cleaning them every freaking 2 minutes. Sorry.
But Tommy just broke his glasses.
I did. I just broke my glass.
But I believe they like what they're going to be able to do in the draft, and I also think that they're a regime that believes you build your stars through the draft.
And free agencies for what? To fill voids. That's what it is. You want to get a splash here and there, fine. It's fine. I don't have a problem with that. We've had splashes in the past, and they didn't seem to work out. Remember, Calvin Ridley was going to be, oh, my God. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look at him. Look at him. He's going to be, look at him. He's so fast. Look at him in his routes. Look at him in practice when nobody's on.
Right.
He's just unbelievable. Holy cow. He's going to set records. Look at the set records.
Yeah.
I remember a member of our local media, I'll name him Mayless, him going, don't you think these guys have the best wide receiver core in the history of the team? And I looked at him like, are you out of your mind? They haven't even played a game together yet. What are you talking about? And they ended up not being that. And we're close.
And the other thing, too, and bringing up Calvin Ridley reminds me of this. So something else that I think happens with fans and media, like when it comes to
fantasy football.
Well, yeah, for sure. When it comes to free agency, and yes, that this is part of it. A lot of times we confuse familiarity with good.
Yeah.
You're like
a name.
Right.
Like you say, you hear a name, and you're like, oh, man, that guy was good at one time. He'll be good here.
I have heard over and over again over the last 24 hours on Twitter as the Jaguars have signed guys or whatever. You're talking about the interior offensive lineman, which everybody wanted them to sign interior offensive lineman, right? Yep. The Jaguars signed these guys, and I hear a bunch of people on Twitter, I've never heard of these guys.
Right. Which means nothing, in my opinion.
How many of us can go around the league and name all the interior offensive linemen on other teams? Right. Who's the right guard for the Seahawks right now?
Right.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, right.
He might be really good. He might be an all-pro.
He might be unbelievable.
But nobody knows.
Yeah.
Right? No one I mean, there's exceptions.
Centers, or it depends who it is.
There's exceptions. Like everybody knows Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, of course.
But it's very few.
They know the Pro Bowlers.
It's very few. But so does that mean every other guard and center in the league sucks?
Right.
Of course not.
First of all, the job of Gladstone and company are to find these guys that fit what they're doing. That's it.
Right.
And they got undercover. They go under some rocks, quote unquote, where it's not just in your face starter Pro Bowler. They got to go, okay, Morse retires. They get around and they go, well, who's going to be our center? And Liam goes, well, man, I really liked our center 2 years ago in Tampa, this guy named Robert Hainsley. Really good player. Played great for us. Graham Barton came in, high draft pick, beat him out, but still a really good player. I like him.
And the reports on Hainsey were that he struggled a lot, and that's part of the reason they drafted Graham Barton. But this past season, in Liam's system, when Graham Barton got hurt and Hainsey came in, it was the best football he'd ever played.
Yep.
So in the NFL. So you talk about a fit.
Yep.
Clearly, whatever system he was in before wasn't working. Fit. And that happens. Yep. You know this, Tommy. You played. That happens all the time.
Yep.
And we see a guy struggling whatever system. So he's a bum. He sucks.
Well, look, you make a good point, but go back to just the last regime's running game. If you really saw how many times the back missed the holes, you might have a different outlook. Like if the back don't miss the hole at the right time, you might be like, wow, they're actually pretty good run blocking offensive line.
You might feel different about
the entire line.
About Ezra Cleveland and Sheriff.
Yeah, absolutely. But so you never know. Now, don't get me wrong. They got beat too. Yeah, got beat on their blocking assignments plenty of times, but at the same time, it's a lot of it's timing in that zone blocking.
My biggest critique, and I know you agree with this, my biggest critique offensive line-wise from last year was they didn't have enough attitude and edge.
Yeah.
I don't care what scheme you're in. I need you to be a nasty SOB.
I think Ezra had a good one. I don't know. I thought Morris was fine. Anton was disappointing. He just went south. Scherf tried. He came to play. It wasn't like he was lollygagging around. He's really trying. And then tackles, tackle. They're only okay.
But that's talking performance. I'm talking like
attitude.
Dudes that brought edge to the team. The team had no edge at all.
Well, the coach had no edge.
I agree.
The coach had no edge.
But on the field, me personally, I didn't play, so I wouldn't know as well as you. But me personally, watching games, I always feel like the offensive and defensive lines are like the main guys that set the edge.
Well, I'll just tell you this: if you go against a tough offensive line that does have that edge, it can be a long day.
Correct. Exactly.
It can be a long day, and not that they beat you, but they're coming every snap.
Right.
So it's going to be physical, even if you're up by 10 points, 17, 21. They're still coming out, firing off the ball. They still got the edge. They still got the attitude.
Probably talking a little mess in between plays.
Yeah, listen, McCarry's got the edge. I watched him play a little bit last year. He will. I think and again, your job is to bring in guys that fit the kind of attitude that you're looking for. And Liam has an attitude. Gladstone, Baselli, they're all on the same page of what kind of players. So I'm going to trust that these are the kind of players that we need in our locker room to be a lot better than 4 and freaking 13. I do find it funny that the turnover on our roster from all the rhetoric was, no, this isn't a 4-win team. Okay, but you're getting rid of them all. Or a lot of them, not all of them, but you're getting rid of a lot of them. Listen, I know why they were 4 and 13. It had nothing to do with talent, in my opinion. It had all to do with attitude. So, again, if you're changing the attitude, that's a really good thing. I mean, look, you do hear some good things about Diami Brown, very speed-like wide receiver.
He was a menace in the playoffs.
Get down the field. Hey, that can help on the other side. I know. I'll tell you what, with Metcalf and what you had to pay him, we have Brian Thomas Jr. I would love Metcalf, but you got your X. He's your X. He is going to be one of the top X's in the game. I don't need another X. What I do need is someone to complement him on the other side.
Yeah.
And having somebody with speed, not Gabe Davis speed, but somebody with real speed, that is just going to put pressure on those back-end safeties and on deep throws. So it'll give Brian Thomas a chance to get loose from time to time, and then we just got to have our quarterback hit him.
And I also believe they're going to draft the wide receiver at some point.
Yeah, I think so too.
Not in the first round, I don't think, but I think
so either.
Maybe like third round.
I still may go O-line with that 5th pick. I'm interested to see what they do with the D-line because we talk about this a lot, but the backups of the D-line have to be upgraded, in my opinion, on this Jaguar team. They have to be upgraded. I like our starters, especially if you're going to light the fire under Armstead, who's going to play inside. I like Mason. I like the 2 edges, but I need my backups better. If I got to pick one, I'd pick Hamilton out of the backups. But the rest, I'm ready to move on from. Much like the O-line, like we're talking about. So at the how about this? I'm more of a glass half full. How about this? At the very least, which I don't believe because the money's too big, but at the very least, they just upgraded the entire depth of this team, or a good bit of the depth. You could look at it that way and say, well, at least we are rounded out. What did he say? He wanted to build the bottom or whatever, or raise the floor. They're raising the floor.
Well, that's in fans when. And look, I'm guilty of it at times.
But let me just be clear.
Yeah.
They're not all backups.
No.
There's starters in here. They don't pay these guys this kind of money to just sit around.
I think if you go through, I believe there's 5 of them that are basically guaranteed starters.
Yeah. One of those tight ends will play a lot.
The center.
Yep.
Hainsey, Macari.
Yep.
Those are starters.
Absolutely.
Like there's not a question about it. They're starting.
Eric Murray maybe. Depending on who we bring in.
I think Cisco's gone. I think he's going to start.
Cisco's gone. He's a strong safety. He makes a lot of tackles, or did last year.
I think that was one that I think's a starter. Jordan Lewis is a starter.
Yeah, Jordan Lewis is
Brown's a starter.
Yeah.
Those are starting players.
Yeah.
The tackle from the Cowboys is probably going to
probably backup guard tackle.
I honestly think they probably brought him in to light a fire under Walker Little's ass.
Yeah, good.
Personally.
Good.
I hope so.
He needs it.
You know what I hope, Tommy, in a perfect world? I hope when training camp starts, I forget his name. It's kind of a weird name from the guy that just signed from the Cowboys.
It's right here. It's Idaga. Yeah, Chuda Idaga.
I hope when training camp starts.
Sounds like a mean son of a gun, doesn't he?
I hope he's talking mess to Walker Little, saying I'm coming for your job.
Yeah.
I hope he's making him uncomfortable as hell. Listen,
I've always said Walker has all the tools to be a great left tackle, except one, and that's that nasty edge. Maybe he gets it. We'll see if the O-line coach can bring it out or these teammates can bring it out of my show. Brought to you by Team Tommy Mac, of course. They're always there for you. Carbon Man Flooring. It is the best. Highest quality at the lowest prices out there. More than just LVP, baby. Got all types of flooring, all for you. Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com. If you get hurt, you call Morgan & Morgan. They are absolutely loaded with resources and attorneys all across the country. Chris Lucero's bail bonds, the number one name in the bail game. No question about that. Get thrown in the clink, he gets you out in a blink. 904-822-2245. J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling. You see the truck riding around town. I saw it the other day. And looks fantastic. Make sure you go to jdog.com. They'll handle all your junk. Your junk is someone else's treasure, and that someone else is a military family. Azar sausage, 3rd generation, homegrown and down home. That's what we have in our fridge and freezer, and you can too. Check them out at Winn-Dixie and new to the Gordon Food Store at Beach and University. Baracus Security Group. Go to baracusgroup.com. Hey, listen, we've heard the stories. You're out there. You're a CEO. You need some help. You need some security. And stay tuned because the Baracus Group is coming up for something for everybody where they can get some security in their lives. Let me tell you something. We need more of that. Saltaire Inn and Suites Boutique Hotel, 4 blocks from the beach, 2 blocks from all the action, a great pool, great rooms, and great service, concierge service, that is. Check out visitsaltair.com. Newmark Phoenix Realty Group, the number one commercial real estate firm right here in Northeast Florida and beyond. PhoenixRealty.net, 904-399-5222. Development, investments, industrial, office, retail, you name it. They cover it all with the best agents in town. Family Tradition Specialty Foods, home of Coconut Joe's hot sauces. Let me tell you something. They're on our table. They're absolutely phenomenal. The sriracha, the pineapple ghost, two of my favorites. Check it out at Family Tradition Specialtyfoods.com and put pound Team Tommy Mac in the discount code bar and get a BOGO free. Code Ninjas, hey, they got camps for the summer. They also have camps for spring break. Spring break is coming up upon us. Get your kids involved in a camp. They're going to learn all types of Roblox, all types of Minecraft. They're going to learn how to build their own video games. They learn about security, IT, AI, all of it right there at Code Ninjas. Check them out. 4 great locations here in town. CodeNinjas.com. Freedom Finance, you need a fractional CFO? Well, Courtney Myers is your man. Check him out at freedomfinance.llc. All you startups, early stage, ready to take the next jump? Well, he can help you with all your fundraising, forecasting, bookkeeping, and what a actual CFO will do. freedomfinance.llc is the place to go. And, of course, Fields Auto, Fields Cadillac right here in town. Good friends of ours down there at St. Augustine Mall and on Blanding. And I-295, you want luxury, you want performance, you want Fields Cadillac. All right, we mentioned Cisco to the Jets. Justin Fields to the Jets as well. I made a list. Just phenomenal stuff what guys are doing. The New England Patriots, they grabbed Milton Williams, the D tackle from the Eagles. They dragged Carlton Davis, the CB cornerback from Detroit. I don't have my glasses. I'm going to try to work them with the one. There we go. That's like old school, isn't it? I should just hear. You know what? Let's do this. Take that off. That's old school, right? Thomas Edison, old school. Who needs the handles, right? Let's see. Carlton Davis, the cornerback from Detroit. Harold Landry, the pass rusher out of BC. I'm a little biased, but he's a good one. Matt Collins, the wide receiver. And the middle linebacker from the Raiders, Robert Spillane. He makes a lot of plays, number 41. All of those guys going to the New England Patriots. Now, again, they got to put that all together chemistry-wise. I mean, I like Vrabel. He's probably bringing in his kind of people. And I'm telling you, that is the key, that they're going to respond to your messaging. They're going to respond to your motivation. They're going to respond to your preparation to be ready to go out there and win on Sunday. That's what you need in that locker room. And who knows if they have it, regardless of how they look on paper. Carolina got it done, made J.C. Horn the highest paid DB. Tershawn Wharton, the defensive tackle from the Chiefs, and Trevin Moehrig, the safety from the Raiders. That's a good trio. Can they put it together? How about the Texans? Texans have a terrible O-line. Their best players are left tackle. They trade him to Washington. You know what I mean? Is that Larry B. Tunsil, who's a really good tackle. He is. He's their best lineman, and then they trade him for a second this year, 4th next year, and they get a 4th in return for this year. That's just crazy, man. You better hope you hit somewhere along that O-line in draft there's a couple other guys out there. It's not like they're not out there. There are some guys you could pick up still on that offensive line. But
it's not like they went and just got a really expensive receiver.
No, they didn't. And they didn't replace him. You know, like you could see, like Morris is gone, Sheriff's probably gone, right? These guys are gone. What do? We filled the gap, right? You filled the void, right? What did they do? I don't know, man. That just seems crazy.
That's what I'm saying. They went and got Christian Kirk, who's going to cost them a little bit of money.
Yeah,
they're going to have cap issues, man. They're paying Stephon Diggs. C.J. Stroud's going to get paid soon. They're paying.
And they're taking
Christian
a risk
Kirk now.
Kirk, man. $15 million cap is what I read. That's a risk.
They got expensive deals on their books, man.
One hit, he's done. And now you could say, by the way, did you see his goodbye piece? And it was nice, classy.
I saw it, but I didn't read the whole thing.
Well, I read it, and in the middle it said, "Sorry, I got hurt. It's more common than you think." And I'm just like, whatever. Like, what was that? It's more common. No, that's a risk. It's a big risk when you get hurt. It is. It's just hard, especially back-to-back years, man. That take you out for the year. I don't know, man. I wish him well. I don't, unless against us, but I know what I'm doing. I'm taking him out. You come across the middle. I know one big shot just may wipe you from the football field earth. And I did my job. We'll see. We'll see if they can catch him. The Packers get Aaron Banks. I like that guard. I think they paid a little bit too much, but I thought he was going to be a good one for us. Seahawks go with Sam Darnold, give him a $100 million contract. The money's just insane. It's absolutely insane. Tampa Bay, Godwin stays. Hassan Reddick joins. I wanted him here in Jacksonville. I thought that'd have been good. I do hope we address that interior defensive line. I do. I think we need to really work on that. Let's see. Geno Smith goes to the Raiders. Jeremy Chin, I liked him too. He's a missile, that guy. That's safety for the Skins or the Commanders, whatever their name's gonna be. He's a good safety, man. The Raiders upgraded their safety position, I think, anyway. You look at the Bears, Drew Dahlman, center, Joe Tooney, Jonah Jackson, Grady Jarrett. They are taking care of the O-line and D-line up there. Ryan Poles and company getting it done. Of course, the new head coach being a big part of that, Ben Johnson. The Broncos, they grabbed Hafunga Talanto. I don't have it in front of me. What's his name? Talanto. He was hurt last year for San Francisco. Hufnagel. Is that his name? Hufanga? The safety? Remember he had the ACL?
Yeah, you're talking about. Yeah,
so the Broncos grab him. They also grab Drake Greenlaw, who's another guy from San Fran. Saints keep Chase Young. Colts get secondary help. They get Charvarius Ward, Cam Bynum. Browns get Kenny Pickett. Congrats, Cleveland. Keep Myles Garrett, though. It's a wash, maybe. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Kenny Pickett to me is, maybe as a backup. He can help you out. And then I mentioned the Giants. By the way, Roy Robertson Harris goes to the Giants on a one-year deal as well. So how about that? Went from, where were they, in London to Seattle to New York. I don't know if he made quite an impact, but giving him a chance. Cisco gets a one-year, $10 million opportunity with the Jets. If I'm him, I'm getting in the best shape of my life. I mean, I'm dropping a few pounds, and I'm getting as quick as I can. That's what was missing from his game last year. I think there were some other things, too. Interesting enough, the guy that went on, the TV interview after a game saying guys quit is the guy they're showing the door. So there's something there. I'm not saying he quit, but clearly he was not prepared week in and week out. So look, I think, and I wish him well. I got nothing again. I wish all these guys well, man. Play as long as you can, make as much money as you can, and see what happens. Look, the money today is just absolutely incredible. Oh, I forgot. The Vikings grab Ryan Kelly, the center, good center for the Colts, and they get Jonathan Allen, the defensive tackle from Washington. Good move by Minnesota up front, man. That is the key, man. You got to keep those guys busy up front. Looks like the 49ers are going to release Juszczyk, the fullback, Kyle. I think we have him in Brenton Strange. I've always said that, but that's interesting.
Because they just signed their bright and shiny new toy, Luke Farrell.
Yeah, Luke Farrell. I mean, good for Luke Farrell. I mean, come on. I mean, that's a lot of money, man. But look, again, that's where it's no different than when you look at the Jags and you're like, well, why this guy? Well, somebody's been watching that guy, or they know the guy from the past, or they're getting great, feedback, right? So, for instance, Gladstone comes from the Rams. Well, who do we want from the Rams? You know what? I think we want this Hunter Long kid. I know how you like to work your tight ends in your offense. He's a big, strong kid. He can block. He's got the right attitude. He can get down the field. He can make plays. You know what I mean? That's where those come in. Same with the center from Tampa. Liam's like, well, I know he got, when he played for me, he played pretty well. I think we can get him. He's got the right attitude. I'm telling you, man, it's attitude. It's the attitude that you got to have together. You got to have the talent. There's no doubt about it. But you got to have the attitude to go along with it. That'll make sure that they're following what the coach is selling. They're buying what he's selling, and you got to bring in those kinds of guys. So hopefully they hit on these guys. And that look, I don't care. Again, I don't care if any of them are superstar players or end up being. I just want them to be good core grunt type, glue type players that you can count on, that help you win. At the end of the day, you just got to win. And what you look like on paper doesn't always mean victory. We've seen that here in town. We've seen that before. Every team has. You think, oh, wow, look at this. This is going to happen. And then you're like, oh. Remember Hugh Douglas? I thought that was going to be incredible. Remember that? Hugh Douglas was an insane pass rusher for Philly. And he came in here. I wasn't on the team, but he was a problem. He didn't perform as well as we thought he was going to be. He was a problem in the locker room, right? Now, on paper, it looked incredible, right? Holy cow, this is going to be incredible. Now, what's the other side? Well, look at what Coughlin did in 2017, right? He brought in 3 legitimate starters, A.J. Bouye, the Calais, and then Barry Church. They all started. They all played significant roles. They were all very good. I mean, especially Calais and AJ. They were incredible. Those were incredible free agent pickups. So, you just hope you get the right guys that are going to fit the right system.
And they filled obvious holes.
And filled obvious needs, yeah.
Like that team, the 2016 team going into 17, like, for example, they really needed someone opposite Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Because the year before, Jalen had his rookie season, 2016, had shown clearly this guy's going to be one of the best corners in the league for like a decade.
Right.
But
you need another side.
But it's not going to matter if the other side gets picked on all the time.
That's right.
Prince Amukamara is not going to cut it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So they bring in AJ Bouye, who's all of a sudden he's shutting down his side just as well. And I got a D line. Now I'm causing issues for an offense.
Exactly.
And this team now, they definitely feel they signed positions of clear and obvious need.
Yep.
What's interesting though, and I think this gets back to the draft point, they haven't signed any D linemen yet.
No, I know. No interior D lineman. I wouldn't. Well, you could see an edge off. I'd like Hassan Reddick. That's not going to happen. But we got to take care of that D line. That interior needs another beef. We need another piece of beef in there.
I agree, but I think the way they've manipulated free agency so far, understanding that they're signing this huge quantity of players and haven't signed anybody on that D line. Again, back to the draft, that tells me they like what they see on the D line in the draft, and they might draft not just one, but maybe 2.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I would. If they don't address the D line at all, I could see them going 2. I could see them going another offensive lineman. I wouldn't mind a stud tackle. I just wouldn't make the look. Again, regardless of who got paid, you got to bring in the guys you believe are going to win, help you win, and maybe the guys that paid are guys that help you win. I'm not saying they don't, but it's not your guys. You want your guys because you don't want to be hamstrung by somebody else's people. You know what I mean? Unless they help you win a Super Bowl, like Tony Dungy's team did for Gruden. You know what I mean? Having those players there, obviously built by Dungy, and then Gruden took it home.
And by the way, I think this is important of note. People need to understand teams that win 4 games and have their whole coaching staff fired.
Yeah.
Those are not the teams that need to be huge overspenders for these big stars in free agency. The teams that need to get the stars are the teams that went to the conference, that went to the AFC or NFC championship game, and they need 1 or 2 pieces to set them over the edge.
Yeah.
The Eagles getting Saquon, right? That kind of move.
Good point.
Those are the teams that need to be top spenders.
Well, listen, just because they said they're not a 4-win team, they were a 4-win team, which means they had a lot of holes to fill. So they're filling holes. It's good. And look, I'm going to go by the full body of work. And what's the full body of work? When they start playing games. And I know it's the offseason. We're going to talk about it all year long. And I love it. And it's okay to have a different opinion. I'm not saying that. But to me, I look at these guys. Does any of them jump off the page? Maybe Macari does. But no, they don't really jump off the page. But they're grunt-type players. You need the grunts. I was a grunt. You need the grunts. You're going to have your stars. We know the star positions, but every other position is a grunt position. You just need really good football players that have the right attitude, that are going to give it all they can every single time, no matter what.
And aren't crazy expensive from a cap
and are not crazy. Right. No, absolutely not. And they didn't go, I think Macari got the biggest deal at $37 million. And that's spread out, obviously. So they got a ton of room.
And that $37 million with the cap going up $30 million and looking at what some of these other teams have spent is not like a crazy deal.
No, not at all.
It's not like something. That's not a break the bank deal.
No, not at all. Not at all. So good solid move. And again, it's your scouting departments, your personnel departments, your coach and Baselli together, finding guys that are gonna fit what you're trying to build here in Jacksonville. And that's the absolute key.
I think to your point earlier, Tommy, about like are these guys I'm bringing in going to help me win a Super Bowl? And if not, what are we doing? What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? There's no point.
And because going back to this is not a 4-win team comment that the staff made when they first got the job, like, sure, it's not a 4-win team. I would agree. They're a more talented team than winning just 4 games. But let's say they hit their ceiling last year. They would have won 10 games, 9 games.
I would say 8. 9 or 8.
At their ceiling.
Yeah.
That team wasn't a Super Bowl team.
No.
That team wasn't even... That team was, if they got to the second round of the playoffs, it'd have been a miracle.
Yeah. Right?
So if that was the ceiling, then it is time to get rid of Evan Ingram and Christian. And some bigger puzzle pieces that shake the snow globe more.
Well, look, you look at the 2 tight ends they just grabbed. They're the total opposite of Evan Ingram. They're big, physical, blocking, and can still go out. Evan's a tough dude. Don't get me wrong, and he tries to block, but his forte is in the routes. I mean, he's so athletic. So obviously they want a totally different route on how they want their tight end to play based on Liam Cohen's system, which makes sense. If they don't fit the system, if they're not going to be a fit, you're rid of them.
They're signing Cade Ottens right now, is what they're doing.
Yeah, which Cade worked out fine for them, right? He did. And, obviously the quarterback had a great year. The whole line had a good year. Got to credit Tampa. Remember that? I used to love that one center they had. He got hurt. I don't think he ever made it back.
Ryan Jensen, yeah. He retired a couple years ago.
He was a beast. That injury hurt him big time. And then they had remember the other guy that was pretty good? He retired after 7 years. Remember, undersized kid ended up playing really good football.
Ali Marpet.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
The guy from D2.
Yeah, he was.
And he had like a crazy combine story, and he ended up being really good. And
ended up being a heck of a player.
It was not long after they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and I think he was just like, dude, I've made plenty of money. I won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah. I get it. What a nice position to be in, and hopefully this team will get there. Nick Mullins, I like the pick. I mean, look, he's going to help Trevor get ready. I like McCarry a lot. I think he's going to come right in. He's number 81 on the top free agent list of 100 free agents that I saw. 93 was Diami Brown. Is it Diami? Diami Brown is 93 in the top 100. So we got 2 top 100 players that were in the free agency class. I agree with Grammage. You got at least 4, maybe 3 to 5 starters. Couple on the offensive line. I think one of the tight ends will play a ton, if not both. You got Murray, the safety, and Jordan Lewis, the corner out of Dallas, which looks like, from what people are saying out of Dallas, aside from Micah, he was a really good defensive player, like pretty good for them out in Dallas. They were kind of sorry to see him go. He was going to be the next one they wanted to bring back, I guess. So, look, again, I know, and I do think this is where fantasy football gets people all kind of cuckoo. You know what I mean? Because you guys are very in tune with stats and what players are doing and these grades and all this stuff, and then you go, well, wait a minute, who's that? How's he going to help my fantasy team? Who are these guys? They're nobodies. They're nothing. You know what I mean? I think it gets you a little cuckoo in the head. You got to trust the brain trust. That's why they're there. That's why they moved up the ranks. And again, look, fans are going to fan. You do whatever you want.
All offseason, it was, I'm sorry to cut you off. All offseason, it was O-line. They need O-line. They need O-line. They need O-line. The minute DK Metcalf's available, you got to go get DK Metcalf.
No.
Like what? No.
I don't think that would fit.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Rush.
No, it's good. It's good. Another thing, Dale, he listens all the time out west, and he made a good comment about, I mentioned Hugh Douglas, and they get that bag, and then they're not the same player. That's and that does happen. You get so comfortable with the money because if they cut you, so what? You still got all that money. What's the worst case scenario? I walk away with the game. Like if you're DK Metcalf, now I think he cares about playing, but what if the money changes him when he goes to Pittsburgh and he's like, I'll give it half the effort. What are they going to do to me? Cut me? They cut me. I walk away with $80 million. So what?
You're describing Gabe Davis right now.
Yeah, I mean, but that does happen. That it does happen. And look, I won't name names, but there are guys in my era that got paid, and then they kind of put it in neutral. There was none of the reckless abandon that got them the contract in the first place. Then they're like, no, I gotta ease off a little bit because I want that money. I don't want to get hurt. It can change. So you got to make sure you got the right kind of person to bring into that locker room to bring it all together. And I think that's what they missed last year. They had some, but they didn't have enough. Cisco wasn't that, right? He was supposed to be this leader of a defense or one of the leaders, So you gotta make sure that you got plenty of guys that will adhere to what the coach is saying and thrive and want to do, great things for the coach, for the organization, and hopefully you get the right players. So we'll see what happens. There'll be more movement. It's only Tuesday, man. Are you kidding me? It just started. I mean, what a frenzy yesterday, wasn't it? I mean, it was like every time I look at it, was a new signing somewhere, there, here, over there, or trade. It was pretty fun to watch, and I think you'll see more of that this week. And let's see what the Jags do, man. It ain't over yet, and the draft is going to be a big thing. And, look, I know sometimes we, and media jumps on it too. I'm one of them. I mean, you sit there and say this isn't a 4-win team. They're better than that, but then you get rid of most of the play. It's just you're kind of like, okay, But I got to trust that they know what they're doing, and I do. Until they show me that they don't, I'm going to believe they know exactly what they're doing. And so hopefully they add a little bit more. They draft well. We were all excited when they got here. Now we're questioning what's going on. I'm not. So I hope it continues, and I hope they continue to fill some voids and some needs with solid players that have great attitudes. And that's going to be a good thing because, again, they lacked the attitude the last couple of years. The coach was passive, but they didn't have the mental the emotional want to be great just on their own inside that locker room. So hopefully the guys they add will bring that to the mix, and we'll see a lot better production in 2025. All right, man, enjoy yourself out at TPC. Friday, am I going to see you Friday? I'm not doing the show Friday, the Jaguars today, because they're going to be out at TPC. So maybe we'll do it. Are you coming in here Friday? Or are you going to the? I'll do it from home on Friday.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, we'll figure it out. Okay, we'll figure something out for Friday. Definite show on Friday. Catch up with Tommy Mack, brought to you by Team Tommy Mack. Check us out. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, all over the place. And, of course, we're on YouTube, the 1010XL Jaguar YouTube channel. That'll do it for us this time around. Thanks so much for checking it out. Thanks to Grammage. Thanks to everybody watching and listening here live and in the future recording. Until next time, stay safe. Be cool out there. Be cool and stay safe. And we'll see you next time right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. Peace.